classic 80s metal.
Symphonic death metal opera.
But I gotta be in the mood to listen to Black Sabbath.
Many of our listeners weren't even born then.
Back for its time, it was very progressive.
I can see there are thrash elements.
You are a metal paradox.
A stunning vision of death metal.
I would listen to it over and over and over again today.
It just seems so dated.
I hear this more as operatic and goth.
Floor Jansen will surpass Halford as the iconic heavy metal singer.
You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Metal fans, welcome back to the Great Metal Debate Podcast. I'm Robert, a.k.a. Gomthog, the fan of true metal, modern metal. And joining us after reminiscing with all the other 80s metal fans at the assisted living facility is my co-host, Brian. Brian, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. You know, once we get our canes out and go to rockin', ready to go.
Better be careful. You old rockers might break a hip.
We'll take our cane and shove it straight up your ass. How about that?
While you've been listening to dated 80s music, I've been going to some awesome shows, man. I got to see Iced Earth and then Nightwish. Iced Earth was awesome, and Stu Block is, without a doubt, an amazing singer. Yeah. But recently I got a chance to see a singer whose skill surpasses even his. In fact, the best metal vocalist I've seen in more than 30 years of going to concerts, the amazingly talented Floor Jansen.
I thought you were going to say Ronnie James Dio came back to life, but go ahead with your thought.
So the last Monday in March, I traveled to Covington, Kentucky to see Nightwish on their Decades tour, where they played many tracks they haven't done live since the early 2000s. That included a number of songs off the early albums, Oceanborn, Wishmaster, and Century Child. The epic set list that night included Slaying the Dreamer, End of All Hope, Sacrament of Wilderness, Elven Path, and The Kingslayer. Man, you forget until you hear these songs again how much that modern European power metal owes its sound to Nightwish. Those bands grew up cutting their teeth on this stuff. And of course, a lot of these songs required the operatic range from a singer that just couldn't be performed by the band live during the Annette Olson period when their personnel was, honestly, limited to no more than hard rock style vocals. Now, with Floor in the band, they can execute those songs as well, if not better, than they did with Tarja.
Good to hear you get all nostalgic about stuff, and I'm glad that you finally acknowledge that things in the past can remain good even when new stuff comes along.
This was my fourth time to see Nightwish live, and they always impress me with their talent and energy on stage. Man, my neck is still sore from the show.
Nice.
And I'm quite certain I didn't headbang as much as the band on stage.
Sweet. Floor can headbang, I'll give her that.
Floor is a windmill machine. She, frankly, puts a lot of other so-called metal front persons to shame with her headbanging. Some singers seem distant on stage. Floor is always making eye contact with the crowd and engaged. If you're in the hall, she sees you. Marco Hietala, Thomas Holopainen, Troy, Impu, Kai, every Nightwish member is a skilled musician who knows how to put on a show, and, Brian, more than that, they just know how to have fun on stage. That's one of the things that really separates metal shows now, like Nightwish, from the tedious, workmanlike performances you had back in the 80s with metal bands who never even seemed to enjoy what they were doing. Nightwish is amazing music and performed in a way that's finally fun.
Okay, I say this a lot, but I swear that is the dumbest thing I've heard you say. The 80s bands didn't enjoy it? Are you kidding? Were you at the same concerts I was?
Oh, man, those bands were so boring and repetitious.
My gosh.
My God, how pedantic.
I'm sure that they didn't talk about their feelings and dress in black and wear they did wear eyeliner. All right, I withdraw the statement.
We have a number of photos from the show up on the podcast's Facebook and Instagram accounts. To be there that night in the pit, taking photos and singing along, literally just an arm's reach from the metal goddess Floor Jansen, was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I've said it before, Brian, and I stand by the claim.
Oh, God.
Floor Jansen will surpass Rob Halford as the iconic heavy metal singer.